guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah, if you're new here, welcome. I hope you're all feeling amazing, and as some of you may know, last weekend was my 30th birthday, and the reason why I'm telling this is I got a serger from my family. Yay! I'm so excited! Okay, focus. I'm very excited and thrilled, but although I'm very excited and thrilled, I just want to make a quick disclaimer that I know that a serger for many people is quite an investment, and I know that you don't need a serger, but it's very nice to have. And I just wanted to say that of course I will make sure that all of my tutorials are perfectly manageable without a serger. And yeah, nevertheless, if you want to check out which machines I'm using, I decided to put all the information in the description box so you can check those out if you're interested. And now, what are we doing today? We will be doing another summer dress, yay! Because I found this cute number here on Pinterest, where else? And it got puffed sleeves and shirring effect, and I mean, what's not to like? And yeah, I will be recreating this in a second. But if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would be over the moon if you do so, and also you can check out my Instagram and basically check out my stuff and leave some love, and I will send you love back, and this is a win-win situation. And now, without further ado, I'd say let's jump into the tutorial, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay guys, business as usual here. At first I of course took my measurements, and for this dress you need the measurement of your bust circumference, your waist circumference, that's optional. You have to figure out how long you want your top section to be, and then you go in with your measuring tape and take your hip circumference and make it a bit longer so that your dress will sit nice and loose around your hips in the end. To create your top panel, you want to multiply your bust circumference by 1.5, which I did, and then I went in, folded my top panel in half, marked the center point, and hemmed everything. After that, I went in with my fabric chalk and marked 1 centimeter sections. So every centimeter I made a little dot at the end of the panel and the beginning of the panel and in between, because in this video I will not be sharing with an elastic under thread. I will be sharing with an elastic. And I also did this in my gingham two-piece set tutorial, so there's a more in-depth description how I did this. If you want to check it out, I will link it in the description box. I then went in with my elastics, took the center point of my elastic and attached them to the center point of my fabric panel, and also clipped the ends, both ends, to the ends of my fabric. And my elastics fit me snug around my bust, and I would say the last 3 or 4 elastics fit me snug around my waist area. So yeah, here I'm just attaching it with 2 pins, and this just ensures that the elastic won't move around while you're sewing it in place. So the first thing you want to do is to secure your elastic onto your fabric, and you can do this by going back and forth with your sewing machine without pulling the elastic. That's very important. And if you did that, you can now stretch your elastic and go section by section and sew it onto your fabric with a zigzag stitch, which I did here. And this is really super simple. And yeah, then you go just row by row until you're finished. And of course, at the end of each row, you want to lock everything in place by going back and forth a couple of times. And as I said, everything here is quite repetitive, so you just go row by row and repeat all the same steps. This is very easy, yet it is quite time consuming, and the whole top panel took me about 2.5 hours. So yeah, it's time consuming, but it's worth it. Okay guys, just to make this a bit easier, I put all the measurements for the bottom panels in the description box, so check this out when you have a moment. What I'm doing here is I had my skirt panels and I adjusted I made the waist area a bit more fitted to my waist, of course, because I didn't want such a strong ruched effect in the end. You will see this later when I sew it onto my top section. So yeah, this is what I'm doing here. I'm just making the skirt panel on the topper section a bit more narrow. And then I put my panels right sides kissing and sewed the edges with my serger, yay! But of course, if you don't have a serger, you just go in with a straight stitch and clean the edges with a zigzag stitch. And yes, I had a couple of glasses of champagne while I was working on my dress and it was lovely, so no judgment. And here I'm just cleaning up the edges of my top panel, and after that I clipped it in place and cleaned the edges and sewed them with my serger. And again, if you don't have a serger, you just go in with a zigzag stitch this time, of course. Sew everything together, and after that you go in with a zigzag stitch again and clean the edges. And then it was time to attach the skirt to my top, and for that I clipped equal sections of my skirt to my top, and now you see why I made the waist area of my skirt just a bit more fitted, so in the end it won't be such a strong ruched effect. I just wanted a bit more clean and modern silhouette to my dress, just like in the inspiration picture. But of course, if this is a bit too much for you because you're a sewing beginner, just feel free to skip that step. And yeah, I just used here pretty much the same shirring technique as I used for the top panel. And then after that, I finished everything with a top stitch. And then I quickly made my ribbon piece, and for that I took a long piece of fabric, folded it 3 times and stitched it in place. Okay, and now onto the sleeves. For that you need the length of your sleeve, so measure from the tip of your shoulder to wherever you want your sleeve to end. Then you take your measuring tape and put it all around so that you have a nice and loose fit. And then you take your measuring tape, put it over your shoulder and spare the armpit area. And yeah, then I went in with my parchment paper and marked all my measurements. And guys, please note, I'm not a professional seamstress, so this is just what works for me. And I'm pretty happy with the result, but maybe I did a lot of things wrong, I don't know. But yeah, this worked for me very well. Okay, I then went in and hemmed my sleeve on the bottom and the top part, so also the curvy part, which can be a bit tricky, but no worries if your hem isn't that perfect in the end, because you won't see it anyway. And then I sewed the ends of the sleeves together with my serger, and of course you can use your sewing machine. And after that I went in and created a tunnel for the elastic, and yeah, this is just folding my fabric over onto the left side, and I left a little hole as usual to put my elastic through, which I'm doing here. And after I was all the way through, I sewed the ends of the elastic with a zigzag stitch on my sewing machine together. Okay, sharing time again. You by now know the drill. So I figured out the center point of my sleeve, figured out the center point of my elastic, pinned everything in place, and clipped the ends of my elastic onto my fabric. Like, it's basically the same technique we used for the top part. And yeah, I went in, stretched my elastic and sewed the elastic with a zigzag stitch onto the sleeve. And then I just had to attach the sleeve to the dress, right side's kissing of course. Yeah, I'm clipping the sleeve onto the dress, and I went in with a straight stitch on my sewing machine. Yeah guys, at that point I already hemmed my dress and I put it on, and I decided that I didn't like the length and I also wanted slits. So I cut off quite a big amount of my dress and I seam ripped open the side seams, which I sewed with my overlock. So I didn't have any seam allowance actually to make the slit. So what I did was I just made a clean edge with my zigzag stitch and then folded my fabric once about 1/2 centimeter and sewed it in place, and this worked actually quite well, but it's definitely not the best way to make a slit. And then I just locked my side seams with a straight stitch by going back and forth a couple of times, and then I hemmed my dress again, but that's okay. And then all that was left to do was to hand sew my ribbon onto my dress. And you guys, that's it for this tutorial. I'm really stoked by how this dress turned out. I think it's so cute, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm glad to help, and yeah, all I have to say now is I talk to you soon and take care.